What if the fog rolling into town tonight carried something that remembers what your ancestors did 100 years ago? A century ago, a clipper ship sailed toward Antonio Bay on a dark night. A mysterious fog rolled in. The crew saw a campfire on shore and steered toward it. Now the dead crew lies at the bottom of the sea, eyes open, staring into the dark. The legend says when the fog returns to Antonio Bay, the men will rise and search for the ones who lit that false fire. The clock strikes midnight, April 21st, exactly 100 years later. At the church, Father Malone's assistant Bennett finishes his duties and heads home into the dark. Malone tries to pay him, but the conversation turns strange. Bennett walks out into the night. Stevie wishes Antonio Bay a happy 100th birthday on the radio. The weatherman predicts rain, but Stevie sees clear skies from her lighthouse perch. Hours pass. Stevie keeps broadcasting through the witching hour, the town sleeping below her. On a dark road, a young local named Nick picks up a hitchhiker named Elizabeth. Elizabeth admits this is her first time hitchhiking. Nick is ride number 13. Suddenly, every window in Nick's truck shatters without warning. Both of them flinch in shock. Stevie signs on again from the lighthouse, unaware that the town is already unraveling. Dan reports something strange on his radar, a fog bank 25 miles out, moving against the wind. Stevie warns a fishing trawler called the Seagrass about the approaching fog. They decide to head back. Too late. Now watch this next part. The fog reaches the trawler and things go very wrong, very fast. Okay, the generator dies. The men hear something moving outside in the glowing mist. A massive ship looms out of the fog beside their small boat. Something is aboard it. The fog lifts. The Seagrass is left adrift, empty, the men gone. He found something on the beach, a gold coin that turned into a piece of old driftwood. Stevie is unsettled but sends him off. She does not yet know what the driftwood means. The boat never came back. Nick knows Al would not just stay out all night without word. Nick borrows a boat to go searching. Elizabeth, with nowhere else to go, tags along. Candles are ordered, speeches written, the procession planned. Everything looks perfect on the surface, but the Coast Guard broadcasts a bulletin: the Seagrass has vanished. No radio contact. At the town gathering, Kathy learns that Al still has not come home. Other townspeople share eerie stories: dogs barking at the ocean all night, car alarms going off at midnight, church bells ringing on their own. One quiet night, and the whole town is falling apart. Kathy and Sandy visit Father Malone at the church to finalize the centennial benediction. Malone is drunk and raving. He has found something hidden in the church walls. The journal describes meeting a man named Blake, wealthy, afflicted with disease, leading a colony of outcasts. Blake wanted to settle near Antonio Bay. He bought a ship called the Elizabeth Dane. Back on the Seagrass, Nick and a deputy investigate the flooded cabin. Every gauge is shattered. The boat was claimed 2 days before. Now it looks like it spent years underwater. Malone reads the journal's darkest entry. The 6 founders plotted Blake's death on April 20th. Nick and Elizabeth wait for the Coast Guard. She wonders if she is bad luck. Everything breaks around her. Nick tells her a story his father told him: a ghost ship found adrift with hot coffee on the table and a gold coin that vanished. But Malone reads the final entry. The founders lit a false campfire to lure Blake's ship onto the rocks. An unearthly fog helped them. The founders stole Blake's gold and built Antonio Bay with it. Kathy and Sandy absorb the horror. The journal was found at midnight, the exact moment the town began to fall apart. Malone says Antonio Bay carries a curse. He refuses to give the benediction. Kathy leaves, shaken. Malone sits alone with the weight of his grandfather's sin. The man drowned, salt water in his lungs, seaweed in his clothes, but he was found on a dry boat. Nick and the deputy stare at the body. Something is deeply, impossibly wrong. She tells him to stay away from the rocks and not pick anything else up. A mother's instinct is screaming. She makes Andy promise to stay inside tonight. He agrees, but the fog is already coming. The coroner finds deep wounds around the dead fisherman's eyes and silt under his fingernails. The doctor tells Nick the body looks like it has been underwater for a month. not one night. The room suddenly turns freezing cold, as if the ocean itself walked in. Nick tries to restrain the body, but the thing collapses, lifeless again. Whatever animated it is gone. That evening, the centennial celebration begins in the town square.
Monetizing your movie content has never been easier. Upload your video, get a full recap and 10 shorts. Viralcade, link in the comments.
The Coast Guard is still searching for the missing fishermen. Kathy waits for news. She steps away from the stage, too shaken to celebrate. Nick offers to help her. She mentions the seagrass was found, but there is no word on the crew. Nick calls Stevie's radio station. He tells her about the glowing fog that moved against the wind. Stevie listens. The town went mad at the exact moment the fog appeared. She believes him. Dan, the weatherman, calls Stevie from his station. He spots a massive fog bank moving in from the southeast. Stevie sends out an urgent weather bulletin. The fog is heading straight for the weather station. Stevie warns him something is different about this fog. Dan steps outside to look. The lights go out. His equipment goes haywire. The temperature plummets. Stevie begs Dan to stay away from the door, but he goes to confront whoever is out there. Now watch this. Dan opens the door and the fog pours in.
Anybody here? Some asshole got drunk and started taking this under your...
Yeah, Dan does not make it. Stevie screams his name through the phone, but the line is dead. At the celebration, the mayor continues his speech, praising the town's founders. Stevie interrupts with an emergency bulletin. The sheriff needs to contact the station immediately. The ceremony moves to the statue presentation. Cassie tries to hold the evening together. The town's power goes out. Lights flicker and die across Antonio Bay. Stevie spots the fog from the lighthouse and realizes it is heading for her home, for Andy. She begs listeners on the radio to go to her address and rescue her son. Nick hears Stevie's desperate pleas on the radio and races toward her house with Elizabeth. The babysitter tries to shield Andy. She sends him to his room and faces the fog alone. Nick and Elizabeth arrive at the house. Nick bursts through the door and grabs Andy. Elizabeth fumbles with the car, trying to get it started, while Nick runs with the boy. The car finally starts. They pull away just as the fog swallows the house behind them. Kathy resists leaving, but Sandy convinces her. There is nothing more to do at the square. On the radio, Stevie apologizes to Andy for not coming herself. She has to stay at the lighthouse. She narrates the fog's path street by street, guiding her listeners away from it. She warns everyone there is something in the fog. Get inside. Lock your doors. Close your windows. Nick, Elizabeth, Andy, Kathy, and Sandy all converge on the church. The fog is right behind them. They rush inside and bolt the door. Father Malone is already there, waiting. Stevie reports from the lighthouse. The fog is sweeping across the entire east end of town like a wall. They count the dead 3 fishermen, Dan the weatherman, the babysitter. That is 5. One of them will be the 6th. The curse demands 6 lives to replace the 6 original conspirators. They search the journal for a way out. The gold was melted down. The church itself is built on stolen fortune and blood. Now watch this. Malone tears into the church wall and finds it. Gold, melted down and built into the church itself. Blake's stolen fortune, hidden for a century. The fog smashes through the church doors. Blake and his ghostly crew step inside, surrounded by glowing mist. Death walks in. He offers it back. His grandfather was the thief. He is the 6th conspirator. He demands they take him instead. Blake reaches out of the fog toward Malone. The church fills with blinding light. Then silence. The fog pulls back. The ghosts vanish. The church is still. Stevie signs off the air, shaken. Something came out of the fog and tried to destroy the town. It vanished in one moment, but she warns it could come again and reminds the ships at sea to watch the darkness. And in the final frame, Stevie asks the question that lingers, why not 6 Blake? Why not her?